So good morning all of you. Today my topic is snake bite. So introduction. India estimates approximately 2 lakhs bites. Out of that 35 to 50,000 snakes bite deaths per year. So 50% of bites by venomous snakes are dry bites, resulting in negligible innovation. What do you mean by dry bite? Dry bite means there is no clinical manifestation of bite marks, swelling, edema, pain, etc. These are the dry bites. So in India, more than 200 species of snakes, only 52 are poisonous. Out of 4 are common species of India. This Saskale viper, Russell's viper, common krait, Indian cobra. So majority of the bites are vipers that occupy 70 to 80%, and neurotoxic is 20 to 30%. So you can easily remember viper, V for vasculotoxin. So the common Indian snakes. These are the pictures of common Indian snakes. Cobra, Naja naja, that is king cobra. Ophiophagus hanna. This is a saw-scale viper, Echis carinatus. So the Indian Russell viper. This is the Russell's viper. This picture shows fangs. So these are the 2 fangs will be there in this picture. So this is the Indian green pit viper. This is the Asian sand viper. This is a hump-nosed viper. This is common Indian krait, Bangaras cerulus. The great black krait, Bangaras niger. This is the greater black krait. This is the wolf snake. This is mild venoms. ASV is not required usually. So regarding snake bites, what are the facts regarding snake bites? So snake bites, majority 80% is by non-venomous snakes. Out of venomous snakes, about 50% of bites are dry. So I already mentioned about the dry bite. What is dry bite? There is no clinical manifestation at bite site, that is swelling, bleeding, or clotting, or edema, or pain. These bites are dry bites. Regarding ASV facts, ASV itself has a severe adverse reaction. It is highly costly because limited supply used. So benefits of ASV treatment is considered to exceed the risks. So is there any medical implication for snake identification? Yes. So species medical implication. But first is signs and symptoms and potential treatments. There's cobra, krait, these are neurotoxic. Vipers are initially told vipers V for vasculotoxic to easily remembered. So local pain, tissue damage. Cobra S. Krait, there is no local pain or tissue damage in krait. All vipers having local pain or tissue damage. Ptosis and neurotoxicity. So neurotoxicity, cobra and krait having neurotoxic manifestations. As in vipers exception, Russell viper shows neurotoxic manifestation. Other saw-scale viper and other vipers having neurotoxic manifestation. No neurotoxic manifestation. Coagulations, usually there is no coagulation manifestations in neurotoxic snake bites. That is cobra and krait having no coagulation manifestations. In all vasculotoxic or vipers having coagulation manifestations. Renal, next is renal problems. Renal problems, there is no renal problems in neurotoxic snakes. That is cobra and krait having no renal problems. But Russell's viper, vasculotoxic like vipers, Russell's viper, but except saw-scale vipers have no renal problems. So last one is neostigmine atropine. This is a potential treatments. What is neostigmine and atropine role? So in cobra, it is a post-synaptic venom bite, venom action on post-synaptic. So it is alpha neurotoxin, pure mimetic toxins, bind specifically to acetylcholine receptors, preventing the interaction between the acetylcholine and receptors and postsynaptic membranes. So cobra is postsynaptic venom action postsynaptic membranes. So ASV rapidly prevents So cobra bite acts on postsynaptic, so prevents the opening of sodium channel associated with acetylcholine receptors and results in neuromuscular blockade. This results in neuromuscular blockade. So ASV, rapid release of paralysis. So we are giving acetylcholine receptors, dissociation of the toxin receptor complex, which leads to rapid reversal of paralysis. So acetylcholinesterase reverse the neuromuscular blockade. But in crate, the cobra is postsynaptic, crate is presynaptic. There is no role of acetylcholine, neostigmine and atropine in crate. What is crate? Crate is it inhibiting the release of acetylcholine from the presynaptic membrane. Presynaptic nerve terminals exhibited signs of irreversible physical damage and are devoid of postsynaptic vesicles. So antivenoms, anticholinesterase have no effects in crate poisoning. Antivenoms and acetylcholinesterase. So that's why paralysis lasts several weeks and frequently requires prolonged mechanical ventilation. So recovery depend upon the, in crate bite, recovery depend upon the regeneration of the terminal axon. So there is no role in neostigmine and atropine in vipers. Only cobra having acetylcholinesterase and atropine treatment have responded because the cobra having postsynaptic action, whereas crate has presynaptic action. The venom action presynaptic in crate, postsynaptic in cobra. So is there any medical implication for snake identification? Sorry. So next slide is, what is syndromic approach and its significance in Indian scenario? Whenever the desired snake is unidentified, this syndromic approach is useful for identification of the snake bite. So for syndromic approach, syndrome 1, so local venoming with bleeding or clotting disturbances, Viperidae, all species. Syndrome 2, local venoming with bleeding or clotting disturbances, shock or renal failure, Russell's viper and possibly saw-scale viper, Echis species. So above symptoms with congenital edema and acute pituitary insufficiency that leads to Russell's viper bite. You think about the Russell's viper bite. So what about the acute pituitary insufficiency? I mentioned what are these manifestations of acute pituitary insufficiency, coming slides. So with ptosis, with the above symptoms, with ptosis, external ophthalmoplegia, facial paralysis and dark brown urine, Russell's viper. These are syndrome 1, syndrome 2. So next is syndrome 3, local venoming with paralysis, the snake bite likely cobra or king cobra. Syndrome 4, paralysis with minimal or no local venoming. So based on history, bite on land while sleeping the patient, so suspect crate. If bite on the sea, it is a snake. So syndrome 3, syndrome 4. Syndrome 3 is local venoming with paralysis. That is like cobra or king cobra. Syndrome 4, paralysis is the predominant. Paralysis with minimal or no local venoming. Suspect two snakes. Bite on, based on history, bite on land while sleeping, crate. Next is bite on sea, it is a sea snake. Syndrome 5, paralysis with dark brown urine and renal failure. So based on history, you have suspect the case. Bite on land with bleeding or clotting disturbances, suspect Russell viper. If the bite on the sea with no bleeding manifestation, clotting disturbances, likely sea snake. So these are the syndromic approaches. What is it? Syndrome 1, syndrome 2. Syndrome 1 is local venoming with bleeding or clotting disturbances, Viperidae. Syndrome 2 is local venoming with shock or renal failure, Russell's viper, suspect. With congenital edema and acute pituitary insufficiency, Russell's viper. With ptosis and external ophthalmoplegia, facial paralysis and dark brown, Russell's viper. Syndrome 3 is local venoming with paralysis. Local venoming with paralysis, cobra or king cobra. Syndrome 4. Paralysis is the main predominant with minimal or local venoming. Based on history, bite on land while sleeping, crate. Bite on the sea snake. Syndrome 5. Paralysis with dark brown urine and renal failure. Bite on land with bleeding or clotting disturbances, Russell's viper. Bite in the sea, no bleeding, no clotting disturbances. Based on history, it is a sea snake. So what are the composition of the snake venom? These are the composition of the snake venom. Procoagulant enzymes, Viperidae, Russell's viper, hemorrhages. So these are the components of the snake venom. Zinc metalloproteinase damage the endothelial lining. Cytolytic and necrotic toxins, hemolytic and myolytic phospholase A2 damages the cell membranes, endothelium, skeletal muscles, nerve and red blood cells. That is presynaptic neurotoxins. Elapidae and some Viperidae. Postsynaptic neurotoxins. These postsynaptic neurotoxins are cobra, presynaptic neurotoxins are crates. So snake bite toxicity profile. What is the profile? Look at this slide. So neurotoxicity and hematotoxicity. So neurotoxicity symptoms starts early, may die before the reach of hospitals. So many reverse very well with ASV. ASV started early. So the symptom starts early, less number of cases can be reported. So that is 20 to 30%. While hematotoxicity symptom starts late, hence most of them reach hospitals. So in hematotoxicity, most of the organs involvement occur. So hence mechanical ventilation is supportive. So more number of cases recorded. So 70 to 80%. Majority of the hematotoxicity is 70 to 80%. So how do you examine the snake bite regarding if you have suspected the neurotoxicity? So quick neurological examination. So neurotoxic venom examination. Ask the patient to look up, observe whether the eyelids retract fully or not. So test eye movements for evidence of any external ocular movements are involved or not, like external ophthalmoplegia. So lateral rotation, upward rotation, down rotation, like that. So check the size and reaction of the pupil. If the pupil is dilated or fixed, like that. So then the muscle flexing the neck may be paralyzed, giving the broken. The last image shows the slide shows the broken neck side. So neurotoxic venom examination. Crate can cause fixed, dilated, non-reactive pupil, stimulating the brain stem. However, this neurotoxic crate venom brain death can recover fully after giving the ASV treatment. Ask the patient to open the mouth wide and protrude the tongue. Early restriction often due to paralysis of the pterygoid muscles. So how to identify for bulbar palsy and early respiratory failure? There are two tests. So can the patient swallow or secretions accumulate in the pharynx? This is an early sign of bulbar palsy. Ask the patient to deep breathe in and out paradoxical respiration. Next slide shows how to perform the paradoxical respiration. So objective, these are the tests. Objective measurements of ventilatory capacity is very useful. Use peak flow meter spirometry, FE1 and FEC ratio. Ask the patient to blow into the tube of sphygmomanometer to record the maximum expiratory pressures. So these are the paradoxical respiration. This is an abnormal pattern of breathing in which the abdominal wall is sucked in during inspiration. Usually, normal patient abnormal breathing, the inspiration abdominal wall is pushed out. But in a neurotoxic patient, abdominal breathing, abdominal muscle wall is sucked in during inspiration. So paradoxical respiration is due to paralysis of the diaphragm. Instead of abdominal muscle was pushed out, this neurotoxic patient abdominal muscle was sucked into the abdomen. So these are the hematological side effects. So venom includes bleeding, clotting, hemolysis. Hemorrhages cause direct endothelial damage by loosening the gap between endothelial cells. Procoagulant factors, that venom having procoagulant factors, anticoagulant factors, that fibrinolytic factors. So this is the important test for to rule out the neurotoxic snake from vasculotoxic snake. So vasculotoxic snakes from neurotoxic. So immediately you have to done the patient after receiving the casualty, you have done the collect the blood sample in a clear glass tube, not EDTA tube or other preservative tubes. Only plain glass tube. You collect the blood from glass vessel, leave undisturbed for 20 minutes. So label it the tube for time you have to collect it, count the time 20 minutes. After 20 minutes, the tip of the vessel will be tapped. So if the blood is still unclotted and runs out, the patient is hypofibrinaemia or DIC. It is the common test usually performed in South Asia. In South Asia, incoagulated blood is diagnostic of for vasculotoxic and rule out an elapid bite. This is the test useful for to demonstrate that snake bite is a vasculotoxic or neurotoxic. This is the 20 minutes whole blood clotic retractant test. These are the local symptoms and signs in the bite part. So fang marks, local pain, local bleeding, bruising, lymphangitis, lymph node enlargement, inflammation, swelling, redness, heat, blisterings, local infection, abscess formation, necrosis. These are the bite marks of the Russell viper. This image shows Russell viper's bite. So this is the important slides. How can you demonstrate the bites? Based what venomous snake and non-venomous snakes. So venomous snakes have elliptical pupil, but non-venomous snake have round pupil. In the venomous snakes have pit is present. In venomous snakes, upper jaw having 2 fangs. In non-venomous snakes, lower jaw have tooth. These are the images. Dotted line shows the bite marks showing elliptical pupil, fangs in the upper jaw. In venomous snakes, the bite mark is elliptical. In it is non-venomous snakes, round like. So fangs is seen in venomous snakes. What are the systemic manifestations of inflammation? So systemic symptoms and signs. What are the general? Nausea, vomiting, malaise, abdominal pain, weakness, drowsiness, prostration. Prostration means severe patient having severe profuse sweating like profuse sweating. So conjunctival edema, cardiovascular like viperidae. That V stands for, you easily remember for vasculotoxic. All viperidae are vasculotoxic. So cardiovascular manifestations. Visual disturbances, dizziness, faintness, collapse, shock, hypotension, cardiac arrhythmias, pulmonary edema. What are the neurological manifestations? Elapidae and Russell's viper. So drowsiness, paresthesia, abnormalities of taste and smell, heavy eyelids, ptosis, external ophthalmoplegia, paralysis of facial muscles and other muscles innervated by the cranial nerves, aphonia, difficulty in swallowing secretion, aphonia, loss of speech and phonation. So respiratory and generalized paralysis. So the neurological manifestation can be measured by paradoxical respiration and extraocular movements by external ophthalmoplegia. Patient have respiratory pattern like the bulbar pulse involvement, like any secretions of the bulbar, cooling of secretions in bulbar fossa. Like that, you have measured the neurological manifestations. So these are systemic symptoms and signs. These are bleeding and clotting disorders. Bleeding from recent wounds, veiny punctures, and from old partly healed wounds. Spontaneous systemic bleeding from gums, epistaxis, bleeding in the tears. Bleeding in the tears. This is the slide shows. So this is the slide shows bleeding gums, bleeding through tears. Spontaneous systemic bleeds from gums, epistaxis, bleeding in the tears. Hemoptysis, hematemesis, hematochezia or melena, hematuria, bleeding per vaginum, bleeding in the skin, petechia, purpura, ecchymosis, and mucosa. Intracranial hemorrhages with the patient having already meninges from SAH, lateralizing signs, coma from cerebral hemorrhage. What are the skeletal system manifestations? Skeletal muscle breakdown. So snakes and Russell viper, usually generalized pain, stiffness and tenderness of muscles, trismus, myoglobinuria, hyperkalemia, cardiac arrest, acute renal failure. So renal manifestations. Viperidae sea snakes, loin pain, hematuria, hemoglobinuria, myoglobinuria, oliguria, anuria, symptoms and signs of uremia. Symptoms of signs of uremia: patient having acidotic breath, patient having hiccups, nausea, pleuritic chest pain. These are the uremic symptoms of the patient having renal failure. Endocrine, I have already told you what is the acute pituitary insufficiency manifestations. What is the syndromic approach of the syndrome 1, syndrome 2? Syndrome 2, there is a local venoming, clotting, acute pituitary insufficiency manifestation, paralysis. These are the syndrome 2 approach to Russell's fiber identification. So acute, what are the acute pituitary or adrenal insufficiency manifestations? Acute phase, patient having shock, hypoglycemia. Chronic phase, in chronic phase, months to years after the bite, weakness, loss of secondary sexual airs, amenorrhea, testicular atrophy, and hypothyroidism. These are the bleeding tears and bleeding gums. So what are the treatment pattern? Regarding treatment, first aid, primary and secondary care level, and tertiary care level. This is a first aid patient. So first you have to reassure the victim. Whenever the patient comes to rush to the casualty, patient have reassured the victim. So then you have to immobilize the bite and limb with a splint or sling. Consider pressure immobilization from some elapida bites. So don't do splint or sling in cobra patients. Avoid any interference with bite wound as they may introduce infection, increase venom absorption or local. Some of the neighbors have doing wound bite having sucking or incision or applying any cow dung or other any sand. They will cause to introduce infection or any intervention have to do the venom absorption and local bleeding. So we remove all rings, watches, constricting cloths should be removed. So this is the pressure immobilization. So developed in 1970 by late Storan Sutherland, Australia. Banding entire limb using a long creep bandage starting from toe or finger as tightly as per sprain, ankle incorporating sim. Next image shows how to do the slide. These slow slides, figure 1 starts with creep bandage. How to do figure 1 creep bandage from bite side to up to knee. Figure 1, figure 2, figure 3 shows immobilization. So pressure immobilization. When to do pressure immobilization? When to do? Pressure immobilization is recommended for bites by neurotoxic elapid snakes, including snakes. Not to do with vasculotoxic snakes. So if when to remove the pressure immobilization? So not to do suddenly remove the pressure band. Carries risk of sudden venomation after release of neurotoxin snakes. Should not be used. So pressure immobilization or bands should not be used for viper bites because of the danger of increasing the local effect of the necrotic venom. So complications of arterial ligament. What are the complications you have to look after the arterial tourniquets? So congestion, swelling, ischemia of the limb, ischemia or gangrene, damage to peripheral nerves, increased bleeding from site. So what to not do? What to do not do? So bite should not do incision or suction. So there is no role of cryotherapy. Increased tendency to necrosis. Treatment. So hospital measures for asymptomatic patients. So observe if asymptomatic patient, at least observation for 24 hours. Monitor the parameters like pulse rate, respiratory rate, blood pressure, CBC, urine output, blood urine nitrogen, creatinine, PT, APTT, INR. These are the important tool markers for hemotoxic or vasculotoxic patients. So in treatment pattern, this is also observed for coagulation factors immediately after giving the ASV. So CPK levels, vomiting, diarrhea, abnormal bleeds, local swelling, necrosis, ECG, blood gas analysis. What is this? Is a medico-legal case. Immediately have to done the MLCs to be initiated. So according to 39 Code of Criminal Procedure under Constitution of Indian Article 31 is a snake bite is a medico-legal case. All Snake bites have registered in MLC register only. So hospital management, if tourniquet is already in place, when to remove the tourniquet? So if limb is ischemia, removes immediately. If limb is not ischemic, look after the snake is a unknown or neurotoxic. Don't remove until definitive treatment is initiated. If it is a snake is viper, remove the tourniquet immediately. If it is a neurotoxic, so wait and watch. After giving the ASV, then only you have to remove the tourniquet. What is ASV? ASV is a immunoglobulin fragment of Ig purified from the serum or plasma of a horse or sheep immunized with venoms of one or more species of snake. It is a monovalent or polyvalent. Usually in India, it is a polyvalent only available. The ASV in India is a polyvalent type which is active against the commonly found snakes in India. What are the commonly found Indian snakes are? I have mentioned four. These are the common four snakes. Polyvalent antivenoms from Indian raised against venom from Bangaras ceruleus, Naza naza, Echis carinatus, Daboia wrestli. In India, there is no monovalent vaccine available. What is ASV? Usually ASV has each vial neutralized venom of 6 mg of cobra, 6 mg of Russell's viper, 4.5 mg of kite, 4.5 mg of Saskale viper. So usually Russell's viper, for example, Russell viper bite having injected the approximately 63 mg of venom injected into the first bite. So that's why, and based on this, Russell's viper injected how much the amount of the in human body is 63 mg. Based on the study, only 6 mg of cobra neutralizes one vial neutralized venom of 6 mg cobra, 6 mg Russell viper venom, 4.5 mg of kite and 4.5 mg of Saskale viper. Each vial neutralizes 4.5 mg of Saskale viper. So usually initial dose should be 8 to 12 vials. So snake injected same amount of venom into children. There is no dose modification in children's. Same as of adult. There is no dose modification in children's. What are the indications of ASVs? These are the indications for ASVs. So what are the indications? Patient in shock, respiratory distress or failure, extensive local swelling, ptosis, generalized myalgia, trismus, mild to severe pain with massive movement of extremities, severe GI symptoms, myoglobinuria, elevated creatinine kinase, greater than 600 units per liter, altered level of consciousness, hyperkalemia, ECG changes, and leukotriene. These are the indications for ASV uses. This is the reconstitution vial. How do you reconstitute the ASV? So usually ASV is available in freeze-dried, lyophilized ASV is reconstituted with 10 ml of sterile distilled water per vial. So treatment of strain, procedure of administration of testes. There is no role in test dose administration of ASV. Like antibiotics, there is no role in ASV administration. Because why? Because if we are a test dose is given, patient may is pre-sensitized, predisposed to great risk of. So it has no predictive value in detecting anaphylactic or late serum reactions and should not be used. So there is no test dose for ASV. No, so it is not a IG mediated. If it is IG mediated, we have given the test dose. It is not a IG mediated, but complement activated may also pre-sensitize the patient and create the greater risk. So ASV having no test dose like antibiotics given in the ICU or other treatment during treatment. There is no ASV having no test dose. If we are giving test dose, the patient may have pre-sensitive and predisposed to create greater risk. What are the methods of administration? IV push injection, reconstitution, freeze dry ASV is given by slow IV. If you are giving IV, slow IV, not more than 2 ml per minute. So IV infusion. Reconstitution, freeze dry ASV is diluted in approximate 5 to 10 ml of isotonic fluid per kg body weight. that is 250 to 500 ml of NS or 5% dextrose in adult patient and infused at a constant rate over a period of about 1 hour. So what is if you have given any adverse reaction, anaphylactic reaction, so you have to ready with adrenaline injection. So adrenaline drawn up in readiness before ASV is administered. So ASV should be given by the IV route whenever possible. So why IV is preferred, why IM not is preferred, I explained. IM may be given when no IV explanation with limited medical facilities. Whenever IV is not available or with limited facilities, then only you have to prefer the IM because IM having disadvantages. So prophylaxis in high risk patients. So what are the prophylaxis? If you have patient having allergic, pre-treated empirically with subcutaneous epinephrine, adrenaline, IV antihistamines, anti-H1 and anti-H2 blockers, IV hydrocortisone 100 mg. So IM, if you are preferring IM, if not IV access is not available or limited medical facilities, then only you have to prefer the IM. So a maximum 5 to 10 ml should be given at each side by deep IM injection followed by massage to aid absorption. So ASV should never be injected into the gluteal region, upper outer quadrant of the buttock, as absorption is exceptionally slow and unreliable, and there is always the danger of the sciatic nerve damage by an inexperienced person. So IM is not preferred, particularly if IM is given in such a situation, better to not give gluteal region, because in gluteal region, chances of sciatic damage nerve is there. So dose based on severity of innervation, dose should be calculated. So no innervation, that is absence of local systemic reactions, Fang marks plus or minus, present or not present. So no ASV. So mild venomation, Fang marks, moderate pain, minimal local edema. That is local edema less than 15 centimeters, erythema, ecchymosis, no systemic reactions. 5 vials in 50 ml. Moderate venomation, that is Fang marks, severe pain, edema 15 to 30 centimeters. In mild, that edema is less than 15 centimeters. In moderate, is the edema is 15 to 30 centimeters. So erythema, ecchymosis, systemic weakness, sweating, syncope, nausea, vomiting, anemia, thrombocytopenia. In that case, moderate venomation 5 to 10 vials, that is 15 to 100 ml. So severe animation, Fang marks, severe pain. In severe animation, edema greater than 30 centimeters. So mild animation, edema is less than 50 centimeters. Moderate animation, edema is 15 to 30 centimeters. In severe animation, edema size is more than 30 centimeters. Then you have to cystic hypotension, paresthesia, coma, pulmonary edema, respiratory failure, 10 to 20 vials. So Agarwal and Gupta et al. Conducted a study, those who having high dose group study and low dose group study. So initially high dose group having 100 ml stat dose, low dose also 100 ml stat. That maintained dose is in high dose group is same initial stat 100 ml will continue every 6 hours. But in low dose group is initially 100 ml start followed by maintenance doses 50 ml every 6 hours. So study observed that low dose of snake antivenom is effective as high dose in patients with severe neurotoxics. So there is equivocal effects. There is no superiority. So until recovery of neural science, these are the equivocal effects. So large dose versus small dose. This is the Agarwal Gupta et al. This is the equivocal effect of the large doses versus small doses. What is the timing of ASV? This is the important slide. When to give the ASV? Likewise, cardiac MI or cerebrovascular actors, they have their golden period. In a snake bite, there is no golden period or window period. There is no consensus as to the window period of the administration of ASV. So usually best effects are observed within the 4 hours of the bite. It has been noted to be effective in symptomatic patient even when administered up to 48 hours of bite. So ASV is as efficacious even 6 to 7 days after the bite of from vipers. So there is no window period or golden period. Likewise, myocardial infarction, MI, or cerebrovascular reactors. There is no consensus to the window period or golden period. But best results can be observed within 4 hours of bite. It has been noted to be effective in symptomatic patient even when administered up to 48 hours. ASV is as efficacious even 6 to 7 days after the bite from vipers. So that's why ASV having no window period or golden period for administration of the ASV. Based on symptoms of the patient, you can treat at any time, at any hours. What are the ASV reactions? At the earliest sign of reactions, that is anaphylactic reactions. So at anaphylactic reactions, we have identified ASV administered must be temporarily suspended. Adrenaline, that is 0.1% solution, 1 in 1000 dilution is the effective treatment for early anaphylactic and pyrogenic ASV reactions. If the patient have suspected ASV anaphylactic reaction, you have to given the adrenaline. Temporarily suspended the ASV administration and given the adrenaline, then we have to restart the ASV infusion. So early reaction to ASV anaphylaxis. So adrenaline, if you are giving subcutaneous or IML, so 0.3 to 0.5 ml, 0.3 to 0.5 ml should be given. If the patient symptoms even persist, repeated at 5 to 20 minutes interval if it is severe. So that is subcutaneous dose is 0.3 to 0.5 ml repeated based on the severity of the symptoms. Frequency is 5 to 20 minutes interval. If it is given IV in intractable or severe reactions, ASV reactions, 2.5 ml IV, this IV preparation is different from IM or subcutaneous preparation. The dilution is in IV is 1 in 10,000 dilution, adrenaline. But in a subcutaneous IM, the dilution is 1 in 1000 dilution. And the severe anaphylactic reaction patients, we have to done volume resuscitation. So IM is 1 in 1000 dilution. If it is given IV, 1 in 10,000 dilution to look up the vial. So they have already vial is pre-fixed vial. That is 1 in 10,000 dilution, 1 in 10,000 dilution. If you have to prefer IV, 1 in 10,000 vial should be used. Should be given 2.5 ml IV. If it is IM is given or subcutaneous is given, the adrenal vial is 1 in 10,000 dilution. How to know ASV dose administered is sufficient? What are the, after giving the ASV administration, what are the symptoms you have to improve are expecting the patients? So spontaneous systemic bleeding stops in 15 to 30 minutes. That is bleeding time, clotting time, bleeding manifestations will be stopped. So blood coagulability is usually restored in 6 hours. What are blood? These are the parameters. PT, INR should be monitored every 6 hours. Postsynaptic neurotoxin venom begins to improve in 30 minutes. That is cobra. Postsynaptic cobra venom acts on postsynaptic. Crate acts on presynaptic. But total improvement will take some several hours. The postsynaptic neurotoxic venom begins to improve in 30 minutes. How to know ASV dose administered is sufficient or not? So presynaptic neurotoxic venom usually takes a considerably more time to improve. So presynaptic is crate venom acts on presynaptic neurotoxins. So active hemolysis and rhabdolysis. So Russell's vipers can cause hemolysis, rhabdomyolysis, renal failure. These are the manifestations of the Russell's viper. So active hemolysis, rhabdomyolysis may cease within few hours and urine returns to normal color. So after ASV administered, the urine color will be normal within hours. If the patient is in shock after ASV administration, patient BP may improve in 30 minutes. What is the maximum dose of ASV? So what is the maximum dose? Maximum dose usually neurotoxic is 10 to 12 is sufficient. But in vasculotoxic patients, the vials up to some patients require 25 to 30 vials. This is the maximum dose of the vials of the ASV. It is usually seen in vasculotoxic. So after giving the 25 to 30 vials, what to do? If the symptoms persist despite giving maximum dose, what must be done? So answer. Supportive measures and treatment of complication. If patient needs ventilation, dialysis, transfusion, pipette. If the patient having large swelling, fasciectomy and wound surgery, amputation. So fasciectomy having some indications. What are the indications of fasciectomy? Next slide. So pregnant patient is treated. There is no dose modification in children and pregnant men. There is no dose modification in ASV treatment in children. Likewise, that only there is no dose modification in pregnant. So pregnant patient is treated as same man as the non-pregnant. So what are the, if you have, so what are the suspect complications in pregnancy? Spontaneous abortion, bleeding, fetal death, malformations are common. Some of the patients have doubt about it. So lactating mothers can continue the lactating. So these are the other treatments: antibiotics, hydration, if you are giving tetanus prophylaxis, wound repairment. So fasciitis. When do fasciitis develop? The patient wound bite having development of compartmental syndrome. So you decide the findings of compartmental syndrome: tenderness, warmth, raising. These are the compartment syndrome. You have to, then only you suspect the compartment syndrome, have to do the fasciectomy. So hemodialysis for acute renal failure. In severe patient, you have to do a mechanical ventilation. DAC, if the patient have suspect DAC, related managements like packet cells infusion, like that you have done. Criteria for fasciectomy in snake bitten limbs. What is the criteria? So clinical evidence of intracompartmental syndrome. So clinical evidence of intracompartmental syndrome, then only you have to do the fasciectomy. Or otherwise intracompartmental syndrome pressure greater than 40 mm of Hg, then only have to do the fasciectomy. Otherwise, no need of fasciectomy. So thank you. If you have any doubts about, please ask. So I'm telling you, there is no dose modification in children's, and also there is no dose modification in pregnant. After giving ASV, lactating mothers can continue the lactation. మనం ఏం ముట్టుకున్నాం మన ఇబ్బంది.